Hello and welcome to Ditch Witch Diaries. We are here. We are in the fourth section, banish, cleanse, protect, and bring the good in. And we are talking about herbs. And it's going to be Raven's turn to talk about herbs, but like and subscribe if you like our station. And that is it. Take it away, Raven.
We are doing again my usual title slide, bringing in the good, and we're doing sweetgrass today. The botanical picture kind of looked like yours a little bit. I don't know, when I saw your picture, I was like, oh, it kind of looks like mine. Okay, so sweetgrass, let's talk about it. Also, fair warning, there's going to be a lot of words in here that I do not know how to pronounce. So, um, basics. So the Latin name, I don't know, Hirioshle, Odortara, Odorata.
Dorada.
This one, sometimes sweetgrass is labeled as this, but this is actually not technically sweetgrass. It's like sweetgrass was, it used to be this, had this classification, but then it's old. So you might sometimes see it labeled as this, but true sweetgrass is actually this one.
Okay.
Now, the parts use are the leaves, generally the aerial parts. Like you could use the like buds, but it's mostly just the leaves. Other names we have holy grass, vanilla grass, scented grass, fragrant grass, sensa grass,
Seneca.
Seneca. Oh
Seneca.
yeah, Seneca grass, buffalo grass, bison grass, and then we go into like the other culture names. So I'm gonna try, but Wiingashk, Wiingashk, uh, Zebigi, Grass of the Spirit, which is like a translated version. I couldn't find the originals for that one. Żubrówka, which is Polish. Trava Svata, which is Slavic. Marine grass, which is, or sorry, Merrygrass, which is German, and then Helgerhalm, which is like holy stock. Whew, that was rough. Okay, so
Good go of it. Yay. Good go.
yay, we're just tip of the iceberg so far. So first, I want to talk about I want to move this so you can see the pictures, but I want to talk about why it's there we go. Why do we braid it? So I'm going to talk about this a couple times, but so the we're also talking about a lot of different indigenous tribes and groups here. So
Can I ask you a
How do you say
question?
that? Ojibwe? What is it?
Ojibwa.
Ojibwa. So they see sweetgrass as Mother Earth's hair, which I love. And so they describe it as Mother Earth's hair. And they said that when the earth felt that the people were being careless and disrespectful to her, to Mother Earth, that she would let her hair grow on the ground so that humans could honor it. So when the humans and the people were just not taking care of Earth, they could go to the sweetgrass and honor it in this way. So people learn that braiding this hair was an act of care and reverence and respect to Mother Earth. And so when the grass would get long enough, you were supposed to kind of take the time to give reverence to Mother Earth by braiding the grass. Um, the braid is said to symbolize connection, and we see a lot of like threes here. So, a lot of times when the grass is braided, it's a true braid, meaning three strands interwoven. But there's different meanings for the three strands. So, some people say that it's mind, body, and spirit. Some people say it's past, present, future. Some people say that it represents the bond between humans, nature, and spirit. So, it varies. Just like we see variations of like why the three-stranded braids in hair, like human hair across indigenous cultures, it varies. Now, the Cree saw braiding as like an offering, so it's not necessarily for to give honor and respect, but it's to give an offering. So by braiding it, it preserves the roots. So if you braid it, then you can kind of like cut or like hack, for lack of a better word, the grass without disturbing the roots, which is considered you leave the roots as the offering. So like ripping it out at the roots, removing the roots is considered very disrespectful. So if you kind of cut it and leave the roots so that it can continue to grow, then that was seen as like an offering. So leaving the roots. And then often you would see them leave a piece of the grass also together with the roots, which is considered an offering. And then braiding also keeps the strands together, allowing them to be like offered as a single unit. We'll talk about offering a lot. So then we have like the Lakota Nation, which is like typically braided with three strands again. And then again, we kind of see this like these three. Now, a lot of times with different indigenous tribes and groups, they kind of stick to one. So, like one indigenous group might see it as mind, body, spirit, another past, present, future. But it seems like the Lakota and the Dakota, they kind of intertwine these depending on the reason why you're braiding something. But braiding is just combining these three things together for whatever it is you're trying to do. And then we also have like European and Slavic influence. Now, sweetgrass, they also braided sweetgrass, but it was more for like for ease of moving it to like leave it somewhere without leaving like a bunch of grass strands everywhere. So it was more like for ease of movement than like the spiritual nature. Now, history and folklore. So, we have sweetgrass as like a sacred role. So, it was considered one of the sacred plants, alongside usually tobacco, sage, and cedar. So, this is also going to come up quite often where sweetgrass, tobacco, sage, and cedar are considered like the sacred plants in a lot of indigenous communities. And so it's associated with kindness, peace, balance, the presence of like benevolent spirits or ancestors. And so we see this of inviting good energy rather than banishing bad, which is different from sage, which we'll talk about later too. Oh, actually, I talk about this. So with sage, it was seen as like still cleansing, but sage was used to like drive away negative energies and like a true cleanse versus sweetgrass was very like sweet. That's why it's called sweetgrass. It was very sweet and loving and nurturing and like opening the doorway to nice, beautiful things. It's not at all about getting rid of bad stuff. It's about bringing in good stuff like through and through. So ceremonial use, it's burned gently. You don't want it to flame. If you are lighting it and it starts to flame, you're supposed to put the flame out like immediately. You don't want it to flame up because then it becomes more harsh and you want to keep it that sweet, loving, very like true to the term smudging, where you're just working with the smoke, not the flame. Again, often braided in three strands, which I've talked about before. Here's our three groupings. Sweetgrass is used before prayer or storytelling was a big one. Any type of healing work, naming ceremonies, and whenever councils got together. Anything where you want to really bring in good stuff. Like you don't want to like necessarily have to deal with like bad stuff when you're doing healing work. You might need to cleanse, but you want to focus on that bringing in the good and the healing. It was also used in just kind of like everyday ways. So, placed in cradles to calm infants. We see it a lot heavily associated with children because of that like mothering, loving. So, it was placed in cradles, woven into baskets or mats or clothing to bring in that good stuff wherever you go. Used as a natural perfume for hair and skin. And then it's also been strewn on floors during gatherings. And it's like a floor wash. With a floor wash, right? You put the herbs in the water and then you use the mop with that water to mop the floor. You don't necessarily put the herbs like on the floor like you would with a floor powder. But with this, you leave the sweetgrass strewn across the floor so that people walk on it and kind of smash it, which releases the aroma. Now, in Europe, we see it was known as like holy grass or Mary's grass. So, talking about like church, like Christian-based kind of uses. So, spread on church floors during Corpus Christi, which, if you're not familiar, I had to look this up. Not Catholic, but it's a Catholic feast where you celebrate the presence of Jesus in the actual like the bread, right? The body of Christ. And so you're like celebrating it like the body of Christ actually being in that. And so this is like the celebration of that, I
It's one
guess.
of my
So
favorite rituals.
Is it? Nice.
Eating the body and the blood of your God.
Yeah, right. I mean, like how pagan can you get, obviously. But I don't understand. So when you're eating, like when you have the bread or the cracker or whatever, the
Yeah,
body, right? That's
sure.
the body of Christ. But you already believe that the body of Christ is actually part, or at least like the essence is in that. So then what is Corpus Christi? You're just like taking that a step further?
It's probably a feast day to celebrate it. Like
Yeah, just
they
like a
always they have
bigger
feast days
thing.
for everything.
Yeah,
So
true. So it's spread on church floors for Corpus Christi, and then also the Assumption of Mary, which I
or
also had to look up.
I know I was wondering if it was like the day where Jesus like gave the like up in the upper room where he like gave
Oh,
said, "Eat this. This is my body. Take
oh,
this."
maybe. Like, yeah, when he actually,
When
when
he actual,
actually,
but I don't think so because I think that was I don't know if that's right.
I don't
Maybe
know. Everything I found said it's like celebrating the presence of Jesus, like
is that
in that.
okay?
But yeah, look it up.
I will.
So we also have the Assumption of Mary, which I also had to look up. But the Assumption of Mary is a celebration, and it's celebrating the belief that the Virgin Mary was actually taken, body and soul, into heaven after her death, which is also interesting. Catholics have interesting celebrations.
They do. They do.
Some of
I
them
know. That's
are
why I swear I got
fun.
into the Episcopal Church for a while because
Mhm.
that's it was like there's a lot of like wild stuff going on there.
Yeah, it's a lot of like high magic stuff in the Catholic Church.
I magic stuff. Oh my God, that's the best. I can't take it. Um, that is so good.
Um,
Okay.
if you tell me when you find it, you can just interrupt me, but I'm gonna keep going.
Okay, go.
So, we also have it as the idea that holiness should smell beautiful, which is also kind of strange, but holiness, according to the Catholic Church, should not smell like harsh. It should smell delicate and nice and sweet. And so they would use sweetgrass, in these like celebrations because it smells sweet. It smells nice.
Yeah.
And then we also see it used in Europe as like with protection and luck. So hung over doors to protect against misfortune, placed in stables to bless animals, carrying it for safety in travels, and then used in midsummer festivals for like fertility, abundance, things like that. Okay. So, and then in Eastern Europe, sweetgrass is associated with bison because it was believed that bison seek out this plant like instinctively, that they just have this instinctive, innate desire to be near or consume sweetgrass. And so that's why they called it bison grass. And so because of the association with bison, it was believed that the grass carried strength, fertility, vitality, and that consuming it or like carrying it or smelling it would align you with animal wisdom, especially like strong, big animals like the bison. And also, it could attract prosperity and sensual pleasure. I don't know if bison are very sensual animals, but somehow that's associated with bison. So
I don't
there.
know. But I did find out about this whole Corpus Christi thing.
Okay, Corpus Christi.
Okay, so the reason why they have a different holiday to celebrate this rather than Holy Thursday, which is the day when Jesus gave
Mm,
this ritual
yeah.
to his followers, is
Hmm.
because Holy Thursday is steeped in sorrow of what's to come. So like
Uh,
it's like this, it's really like for some people it's like it's not they wanted like a standalone festival that was joyful and felt like the
uh,
joy of Christ's presence in the Holy Eucharist. So Corpus
gotcha.
Christi is like about joy
Mm,
in the holy presence of Jesus in the wafer or the bread or whatever.
gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's why. Because I was like, I don't really understand why they would have a different day but that's
Yeah.
why is because it's sad. So they
It's like
don't.
the happy
Yes.
antithesis.
So
Okay.
joy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
So there you go. Bringing in the
Okay.
good, the happy.
Yes, good, happy stuff.
Vitality. Yep.
Okay, so then we also have, gosh, I'm gonna try to say this again. Wiingashk, Wiingashk, mother's hair, which we talked about a little bit before. But when the earth was young, humans walked the earth with reverence and respect. And then as humans continued to like grow and time went on, people grew very careless of caring for earth, which we still see today, obviously. And then the earth started to feel really neglected. Mother Earth was feeling neglected. She grows the food and all of the stuff for these humans, and they're just disrespecting her. And so humans were instructed to find this long hair and braid it just as if you would braid the hair of someone you love with honor and reverence and respect. So the teachings here, you do not pull sweetgrass out violently. As I said, you comb it with your fingers so that you can braid it. You detangle it a bit, you gather it gently, and you leave the roots, right? Braiding is an active relationship. You're not using, this is like a thing that you and I talk about a lot, maybe not directly, but we don't really say that we're like using the herbs a lot. We talk about working with them, right? We
Yeah.
work with the herbs. We
Yeah.
love the herbs. And so you're not using the sweetgrass, you are working with the sweetgrass.
I feel almost in awe of herbs and plants and stuff.
Say
Like
that
I
again?
feel in awe,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
AWE. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that's
Yeah.
what I feel like when I work with them.
Yeah.
I'm like amazed by them.
Yeah. I feel like it's the same as like a lot of other magical stuff, like the moon and Mother Earth. Like, it's and like crystals and all of these things. Like they have like this really beautiful energy, and sometimes they want to be worked with, and sometimes they don't. And anything that you are working with, I think you should give it like respect, especially if it comes from like nature. I mean, man-made stuff a little bit, sure, fine, but like especially stuff that's natural, I don't know, man. I feel like it's just deserving of respect.
It is. We have so much plastic in our world when you come
Oh
across something
yeah.
that's so wonderful and
Yeah.
beautiful and filled
Did
with
you
so much.
see that oh, I can't remember who it was, might have been Japan, but somebody created the first plastic made out of kelp that fully dissolves in water in like, I think it's like 6 days,
Wow.
which is rad.
Well, I'm pretty
Yeah.
impressed when I go to any supermarket now and they're like throwaway bags or like that compostable.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
me happy. And
Yeah. It's
I
nice.
was using one of them and it got all like gross. And I'm like, oh my
Mm.
gosh, it's because it's compostable.
Yeah.
Like it gets all like
Like starts to
degraded.
break apart.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, so funny. Okay. So then we have the Lakota tradition, which is sweetgrass is associated with like bringing a person into harmony before prayer or counsel, as we mentioned earlier. So in times of conflict or grief, people were seen as spiritually out of rhythm. And so sweetgrass was given to those people to restore that balance. Again, right? Bringing in the good, we're bringing in the balance. You can have grief, but you need to balance this with things like happiness that you had this person in your life and like things like that. And so, and in times of conflict, we still need to balance that. So sweetgrass brings that balance. And then also, the smoke, when you're smoking it, was believed to carry the prayers upward gently versus some other herbs where it was seen to kind of almost like be like forceful. It's like forcefully thrown into the atmosphere, but sweetgrass, again, true to its name, carries it very sweetly up. So often linked with growth, trust, relationships, especially like rebuilding relationships, because we see it in times of conflict, women's ceremonial roles, preparing a space so that truth can be spoken in a non-judgmental way as much as possible. Unlike sage, which again, we love sage, right? We're very much pro sage, but sage is seen, especially in indigenous communities, as like kind of harsh and like
It
it's
is.
cleansing, right? It's like get the
It
fuck
is.
out, like get like clean this space, get out. Whereas sweetgrass is very like calming, let's calm everything down, let's speak our truth and everybody hear everybody out kind of thing. And then we have the Cree, where sweetgrass is highly associated with water spirits or like water mothers, which I've never heard that term before, but I love it. I love it so much, water
I
mothers.
know, huh?
So, sweetgrass grows best near wetlands and river edges. It's like grass, right? Grass can grow pretty much anywhere. I don't know if it's technically
Do
considered.
we have sweetgrass here around
I
us? Or is
uh
it not in Is there sweetgrass in Oregon or
I
California?
don't think I have sweetgrass here. Maybe in California.
I know. Sweetgrass.
Might be too hot for it in California or too like not enough water.
Let me ask. Hold on. I love
Yeah, I
it.
didn't even look.
I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Does sweetgrass grow in California? Where sweetgrass grows in California? Yeah,
Hmm.
in Northern California.
Oh, okay.
Cool, moist environments, wet meadows, stream edges, marshy areas. Pacific Northwest.
Oh, interesting. We don't have a lot of grass out here.
Canada, Northern US. Interesting.
Hmm.
Huh,
We do, yeah, I mean, we do have some marshes, I guess. Hmm, interesting. That's pretty cool. I'll have to see if I can find some.
I
I'll
know.
send you some.
Interesting.
Um, Oh yeah, so grows best around wetlands, river edges, very associated with water for a variety of reasons.
Mhm.
And so because of this, it was believed to bridge land and water, right? We talked about this a little bit or this brings up when we talked about liminal spaces and we talked about how like a beach is a liminal space because it connects like the land and the water. And so sweetgrass is kind of like along those lines. So, it's like highly associated with safe passage, but especially like water passages, calming emotions, especially for children. Anything related to any type of water working, which we'll circle back to. And it was believed in the Cree tradition that sweetgrass first appeared where a woman wept into earth near a river. So if a woman went to a river and cried, then where her tears fell, sweetgrass would grow.
Oh,
I know, I love
neat.
that. I
I
also
love
love
that
that.
too.
I know. I also love that that's like any woman. A lot of times we see it as like the first woman or like a creation myth, which I love too,
Yeah,
but it's like women who cry at a body of water will help sweetgrass to grow. It's just nice. Nice.
I love that.
Then we have the Blackfoot group and the Blackfoot community. So they describe it as a plant that does not overpower. So again, sweetness, right? Now, I like this. They believe that there were two medicines offered to the people, one harsh and forceful, one soft and fragrant. Now, across sources, the soft fragrant was sweetgrass. Like there is seems to be undisputed. But for the other ones, it varies depending on the tradition and the group. So some people say cedar, some say sage, some say tobacco, others say bitter roots like dock root. So the harsh and forceful can vary, but across all of these, I have found people agree that it's sweetgrass, which is pretty rad since there's a lot of like open to interpretation and stuff, but not really with this one. Um, and then what else? Oh, sweetgrass chosen for gatherings where unity was needed, which again, we see this across traditions. So, used to teach the sweetgrass is used to teach leadership, especially like through kindness, influence without dominance, things like this. We keep talking about this, right? Open communication and talking and calming the storm and all of that. And so then we have the Slavic people. So sweetgrass was believed to be Mary's resting place, that sweetgrass originally grew where Mary's body was laid to rest, or that sweetgrass grows where she once walked, but it comes back to Mary, which is heavily associated with this mother image, right?
Mhm.
And so because of this, churches would throw it on holy days. They would just kind of put it everywhere. They would braid it. Remember also like Slavic traditions were still braiding it, but they would have braids like all over church grounds. Homes were protected with it, and it's also believed that the scent would attract angels. And then we even see like Slavic practices, pre-Christian beliefs, where it was used in midsummer rites and associated with things like fertility. Okay, so this is just kind of like a encompassing. So across continents, belief systems, groups, everything, a few like just consistent points, right? First is that it's said to be given, not taken. Now, this can be taken two ways. So one is that we don't take it from Earth, right? Earth is giving it to us. Mother Earth is giving it to us, and so we are respectful. But also with gifting, it said that it's you're not supposed, not that you're not supposed to, let's see. Sweetgrass has a more magical association and more like loving power if it is gifted to you, right? This isn't, it's not like the tarot belief where like you can't buy your own tarot deck, which is absolutely just stupid. But it's like you can buy it yourself. I hate that. You can buy Sweetgrass Bundle yourself, but it's like supposed to be better if it's gifted. The second is that it's braided, not broken. This is another kind of phrase that kept coming up. And at first I was like, does this mean you're not supposed to unbraid it once it's braided? But no, people say that it's braided, not broken in respect to the harvesting, right? You don't like break it, like you don't rip up a tangle of it. You untangle it before you cut it, you braid it before you cut it, and then you cut it.
Interesting.
And then the last is it invites, it does not command, right? It's not harsh, it's inviting and loving. So it's heavily tied to women, water, children, peacemaking, and emotional truth, but emotional truth that is given and received with like love in mind. Like I will hear you out and not judge you and things like that. Um, what else? Oh, so I found this was pretty cool. So some prayers or phrases when using sweetgrass. So we have I forgot. Ojibwe? How do you say it again?
Jibwa?
Ojibwa? I think it's I don't know,
Jibwe?
whatever. Ojibwa. I
Jibwe?
feel like I need to study this, especially in the Pacific Northwest where we have a lot of Native and Indigenous communities.
I know.
But when they would use it, or not use it, but like harvest it, they would say Wiingashk, Miigwech. I probably butcher that. I'm so sorry. But the translation is sweetgrass, thank you. So you are thanking the
Yes,
sweetgrass.
Ojibwe.
Ojibwe. Okay, cool.
Ojibwe.
Ojibwe. So you are supposed to say this if you are harvesting sweetgrass, while you're braiding sweetgrass, and when you're burning sweetgrass. You are, and we have talked about this before. We've mentioned this many times about like thanking the herbs for working with us and allowing us to work with them. And so Indigenous communities definitely seem to do this as well. And I'm not even going to try to say this, honestly, but this phrase right here was also spoken. And the translation here is thank you, Sweetgrass, for your help. So whenever you're using sweetgrass for
Oh, so look, you have that word too. So it's that word is Anishinaabe.
wait, what
Ani-
word?
Anishinaabe is
Oh,
that's
this
the
one.
larger. It's a larger group that encompass the Ojibwe, and
Ah,
some other groups as well. So
okay.
but that's it's a broader self designation.
Ah,
See it.
okay.
So there you go. You have
Noted.
that name. So there you go.
Very nice.
Okay.
So yes, when you say this much larger, longer phrase, this is when you are requesting or like acknowledging the sweetgrass. Let's see, you are requesting help from sweetgrass, or if it is helping you and you are acknowledging its help, then you're supposed to say this, right? Thank you, sweetgrass. Thank you for your help. It's kind of like it's almost like a prayer spoken to the plant. Now with the Cree, I thought this was interesting. Um, the Cree said it So we have this phrase. Now, with this phrase, it's not spoken. And I have found, I didn't know this, but I found it in a couple of different sources. So I'm hoping that it's true. But the Cree they often emphasize very minimal speech or silence, just like as a group. And so they wouldn't say anything when speaking or when working with the sweetgrass, but they would think about it. This is like the mentality that they would have when they're harvesting or working with the sweetgrass. So it's still this phrase is translated to I place this down for kindness. So again, it's the mentality. They wouldn't actually physically say it, but this is the mentality of like holding gratitude in your mind when working with the plant.
So do you want to know how to say that first one?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Wiingashk Miigwech.
Ah, Wiingashk. That makes sense. Meek.
Wiingashk. Wiingashk. Very good.
Nice. I like
Okay,
that. Very nice.
very nice.
Okay, so medicinal, as we've said a plethora of times, we're not doctors, right? But according to sources, it is a nervine, so used as like a tea or infusion, inhaled as smoke, inhaling the smoke to calm nerves, soothe grief. It's a carminative and an aromatic, mild analgesic and antispasmodic, so it's good for headaches. I found a lot of stuff with headaches, including like indigenous uses for headaches, diaphoretic, and aromatic and like respiratory support.
Nice.
Yeah, good. It's not used super often medicinally. It can be. They do say that if you're going to ingest it, do it in small quantities, like it's should be fine in small quantities, but you don't want to take large quantities like day after day, right? As needed. But a lot of use with like inhaling the smoke, a lot of medicinal qualities with that. Okay, magical. We got a lot here. So, element is air and water. Air because it's light, it's aromatic, and then also like the association with like it carrying the prayers upwards. But water, especially in the Cree tradition, offerings made near water, it's linked to emotional cleansing, flow, very like loving and nurturing as we would associate with things like water. The planet is Moon, so because of like emotional alignment, intuition, water association, all of that stuff like that. Astrological sign Cancer, love that too. Because of like the nurturing and home and family and children and all of that stuff. Tarot, I found two. Empress, which is an association, that's a me and you tie, and the star. So Empress makes sense, right? Fertility,
Yeah.
again, like children, caring for children, nurturing, grounding, gentle. And then the star for like spiritual guidance, especially like carrying the prayers up. I kind of associated that with the star a little bit. Blessings from the unseen. So I don't know. I feel like Empress is really fitting. I kind of see the star, but I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with that one. Chakra is the heart chakra and the throat chakra. Heart because again, emotional balance, relationships, kindness, but also throat because we often see it tied to like speaking your truth and bringing it when like two groups are have some turmoil and you're trying to bring calm. So I liked the throat for that. And then goddesses, we have Gaia, obviously, right? Mother Earth. White Buffalo Calf Woman, which was from Lakota. She's seen as the bringer of sacred law, harmony, and ceremonies. Brigitte, obviously, like home and hearth. And then Selene, Luna, all of the lunar goddesses, because we see it as a lunar plant. What do you think about all these?
I think they are all great. I like them.
Yeah,
I was going along with all of them, saying yes,
nice.
nod. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very good, very good. Okay. So then one of the big magical uses, so like magical uses, right? Offerings. Offering is a big one. We see this throughout all of the indigenous communities that use sweetgrass. So things like ancestors, you could lay sweetgrass at like a grave or near some type of ceremonial space, sending gratitude or intention or prayers if you associate with that, but very much with like speaking with ancestors and giving an offering to ancestors, offering to any type of like water spirits, water mothers, water deities, because as we've mentioned before, it's highly associated with water. So offering to any of these types of things for like water travel or emotional things, emotional workings, whatever, or if you just want to give an offering to a water deity, offering to the earth or like Mother Nature or creation potentially. So showing respect for the land. You don't even have to cut it, right? If you find sweetgrass, you can just take the time to detangle and braid, and braiding can be your offering. You don't even have to take the sweetgrass. And then community and like spiritual harmony, because again, it's like inviting peace and harmony, good relations, especially during council and ceremonies, as we've seen. Um, so you can like use burn sweetgrass and like waft it to participants or like objects or whatever. We're just bringing in good stuff, whether it's through saging or ingesting, all kinds of stuff. So that's offerings, but I do have other magical uses. So braiding or weaving, I don't think we've talked about this, but you and I have done a lot of magical practices with like braiding intention into things or knot work, all of that kind of stuff. You can
Yeah.
use sweetgrass for any of that. Using it as offerings, as I mentioned on the last slide. You can also carry like a braid or a strand or like a personal amulet with it. You can have a sachet. So you can like make a sachet. I have a couple of sachets actually right now. I should one of them I need to rotate, I think. But you can put sachets anywhere. I have sachets by my bed for like intuitive dreams. So you can have sachets like in closets, under pillows, in kids' rooms, any of this stuff. Also water work because it's a water plant, right? Beautiful for water work. So you can put sweetgrass in water and let it infuse and then use that water in the bath water or dump it over you in the shower or create a room spray with it or use it to asperge, any of that stuff. I talk about water workings all the time, any of the water stuff we've talked about. Also, obviously, for like smoke work, like smudging, scent work, if you're doing any magic associated with like scent and you want some type of sweet, good scent, like maybe it would have been good if you had some to like burn it over your honey jar, or use it to like put in the honey jar before you put your stuff in there. And then also like hearth and homeworking, right? So you can place it in thresholds or windows or entryways or rooms or any of that stuff to bring in the goodness.
Nice.
And that's it. That's our sweetgrass.
Yay.
Good
I
stuff.
love that. Did you ever read the book Braiding Sweetgrass?
I have it. I have
You
not read
need to
it.
read it. It's
Yeah,
so good.
I've
It's
heard that it's
so
really good.
good.
I have Braiding Sweetgrass and Black Elk Speaks are like my next on my TBR list. I've heard
And
that
I
they're
read a book about moss too that I love.
oh.
Yeah, that was really good. Let me see if I can
Hmm.
find it just because you like, I don't know if you like moss.
I do love moths.
Moss, let's
I
see.
like anything with the darkness.
Called Gathering Moss. It's Robin Wall Kimmer. I think it may be that, let me see what she did Braiding Sweetgrass.
Oh,
She also
interesting.
did this one, yes. So Robin Wall Kimmer did Braiding Sweetgrass, and she also did Gathering Moss,
Hmm, very nice.
which both of those were amazing. So highly recommended.
Is that one, the moth one, is that also tied to like indigenous stuff? Because
It's
I've heard
a
that braiding
cultural
sweetgrass.
history and natural. It's Gathering Moss, a natural and cultural history of mosses. So it's like,
Oh,
and it goes into scientific things about moss. It's really interesting.
interesting.
Yeah. But
Hmm,
it does tie into indigenous populations as well. So,
nice. Very good.
yeah,
Yay. Nice.
very nice.
I'll check that out.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for joining us. That was so good. I love that so much. I'm so happy we got to be enriched
I know
by
that.
learning about sweetgrass.
Yes.
So if you like that, subscribe and like it, and we will see you at the next Ditch Witch Diaries.